about an hour today together going through some of the top project management tools. Before we jump in, well, let's get started. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Kim Essendrup, co-founder and partner of Kolme Group. I'm a career project leader, PMO leader, and I just love project management tools. And so that's why some colleagues and I started up Kolme Group some years ago. To talk a little bit more about Kolme Group, we're a consultancy that specializes in project management tools. We started off on the technical track and went into project management, program management, running PMOs, and came full circle and now implement project management tools for enterprises and PMOs. We partner with Planview, ClickUp, Monday, and Smartsheet, who we're going to hear from today. But we also support integrations, change management, and we do PMO process development. We worked with over 1,700 clients so far, helping them with their tool stack. Now let's talk about today. Our goal today is to help you improve project delivery and oversight in your organization by helping you use the right tools and methodologies. Specifically today, our goal is to showcase a variety of the top project management tools on the market to help you figure out what's worth investigating further. Our agenda is we're going to start off with sharing a few tips from our perspective as a consultancy implementing project management tools and let you know some of the things that we wish all of our clients knew before they started their implementation journey. And then after that, we're going to break up into demos. We're going to have 8 to 10-minute demonstrations from one of our amazing consultants that are going to talk about ClickUp and then Monday, Smartsheet, and Planview. We'll talk a little bit about integrations. We'll have some time for Q&A. We may not have time to get through everything, so if we miss a question, we will follow up afterwards. And then after that, we'll talk about what are next steps. All right. The scope for today is an in-depth technical deep dive on each one of these tools. We only have about 10 minutes for each demo, and we can only go so deep. These tools are really powerful, every one of them, and they have a lot of features. We could easily spend hours doing deep dive demos on each one of these tools. But our goal today is to just give you a taste, just a flavor of what each one of these tools are. And it will give you an opportunity if you'd like to meet up with our consultants after today and ask more questions or ask for a more detailed demo. We can help you with that. We just have a little bit limited time today. Also, today is not a sales pitch. All of our people that will be speaking today, we're real consultants that spend our days implementing these tools for real use cases for real customers. And that's what we're going to share with you today. And if you want to follow up with us, we'll put you in contact with those consultants as well. As I said, we may not be able to get through all questions today, depending on how many we get in. So if we don't get to yours real time, apologies, but we will follow up on every question. But by the end of day today, we'll give you an opportunity, as I say, an opportunity for us to schedule a one-on-one with one of our consultants if you really want to deep dive. And honestly, if you want to learn more about 1 or 2 or 3 tools, you can schedule one-on-ones with any number of our team members that you would like to. All right. Now, all that said, I want to just take a moment before we dive into our demos, and I want to share some advice that we would like to give all of our clients, or actually anybody who's about to purchase or implement any kind of project management tool. Because we've done this over 1,700 times in the last 8 years, and we have a lot of lessons that we see over and over. And the first one is know your requirements. It's really challenging when we want to jump in and start working with a client, and they're excited to get started, and we say, okay, what would you like to do? And they say, I really don't know. And that's okay not to know. We can jump in and we can help you figure out what you need to know. We've implemented these tools enough to know what are the best practices for identifying the projects you're going to do, that sort of intake process, or whatever processes for managing resources or doing budgeting. But these are things that we need to work with you to get sorted out before we can start configuring the tool to make it work out for you. So spend some time thinking on your own. What are our requirements? What's important for us? or engage a consultancy like us to help you figure out what you need to know and what the priority is for those things. And kind of related to that is this is um, we recommend you don't buy a tool to solve business problems that you don't have at this moment. When you start looking for tools and you start focusing on processes, focus on the value that you need to give your organization now. What are the problems you have right now or for the next 12 months? What are the opportunities you want to address? What we see too often are organizations that they go and invest in tool sets that are too big and they're too complicated for what they have right now. They're trying to plan to solve things that might happen in 2 years or 3 years. They're trying to plan that far down the line when really you should be focusing on what are the things that you need to solve right now for your business and for the coming year or so. And finally, maybe most importantly, is to invest some effort in change management. Any kind of tool you have is honestly a complete waste of time, whether it's a PM tool and any kind of business system that you have. These tools are a complete waste of time if nobody actually uses them. And so it's really important to invest some time and some effort to implement good, solid change management processes, communication, training, and there are whole frameworks around change management for business tools, which you should think about, and we can help you with that if you have questions on those as well. So those are just three sort of rules for the road we want to give you as a gift as you go down your tool journey. And however you end up proceeding, please keep these in mind. All right. With that, let's get into the demos. This is probably why you came and showed up. So if you're in our webinar, please feel free to add your questions into the webinar chat, and we will get to those as we can. The first demo we're going to do is ClickUp. Our ClickUp demo is going to be delivered by Kimberly Winter. Kimberly is a project management technical consultant at Kolme Group. She's ClickUp certified and has been implementing ClickUp for all kinds of organizations for over 3 years now. She is also a PMI ACP Agile certified practitioner. So I will hand over to Kim and say, here you go.
Excellent. Hello, everyone. So happy to show you ClickUp today. So let me share my screen. Ah, wonderful. Let me know if you can't see my screen. So if you have ever thought, why am I juggling 5 tools just to run one project, then ClickUp might be your team's new best friend. So ClickUp's mission recently, for the last year or so, has been to become the all-in-one platform for your team. So bringing everything together that you might need, tasks, projects, chat, communication, workflows in a single platform so that your teams can streamline their processes and collaborate effortlessly all in one tool. So we're going to look at tasks, docs, whiteboards, and if I have some time, we'll just peek at the chat and the AI capabilities, just to give you an overall very high level overview of all the things that ClickUp can do for you. So as a project manager, sometimes you're out of the office. Every once in a while, you're on PTO, maybe you're at a conference. So let's look at a day in the life of a project manager when I come back into the office and I need to catch up. So what I typically do is I like to start up here at the top of my sidebar in the home. So the home is a personalized view of everything that is most important to me. We've got tasks, due dates, I've got my calendar in here. So I really have everything together all in one place. I even have an AI stand up. So once again, if I've been out of the office, I don't need to reach out to each team member to see what they've worked on. I can just pop into my home view and ClickUp AI will show me a stand up of what everyone has worked on. Super recent. So in the last couple of weeks, we can also integrate both a Google Calendar and an Outlook calendar. Outlet. I love that. That's a new one. So we can see everything all in one place. I don't need to pop over into my Google Calendar or Outlook to see my meetings. I can even schedule those meetings with my team here in ClickUp, and I can just bring everything all in one place. So it's all here. It just home helps me focus fast as I pop into work today without having to dig through email, without having to interrupt everybody else's flow and reach out and ping them to see what's going on. So I can see that we have some work to do. We've got some urgent work down in this project, and it's Tuesday, and I have a status report due. So I'm going to pop down into that project. There's a lot on my sidebar. There's a lot of projects going on that I am involved in. So I actually have a list of favorites here, and I can pop right into either the project or I can come to a dashboard. So just like the home view was the hub for my personal items that I need to address, everything that's assigned to me, a dashboard is your team's hub for the projects that we're managing here in ClickUp. So I shouldn't say all, but almost all of these charts, the bar charts, the pie charts, and any lists that I have, these items are clickable. So I can pop into them and I can see the data that ClickUp is using to build these charts for me. So if I need more information, it's here. If I just want a very high level overview for leadership, then we can also just have a high level, very visual summary of my project. Just in the last very short, like last week or so, we even have AI cards now here in the dashboard. So if your team is using AI, I can have the stand up here in my dashboard. I can have AI refreshing an executive summary. So every time my stakeholders, my primary stakeholders and champions pop into this dashboard, they can get an instantaneous update, a summary for the project. This is great if I need to see, like I said, a high level overview, and it just gives me definitely a high, list of what the team is working on in this project. But chances are those team members really need an in-depth deep dive into the to-dos in the work breakdown structure of this project. So if we go down into the actual project, so if I pop down here on my sidebar, we've got a lot of flexibility in the sidebar and the hierarchy. We've got spaces, folders, lists, a lot of different ways that the teams can work in ClickUp. So every team works differently. So ClickUp gives you the flexibility of being able to visualize the data in different ways. So we have the list view. The list view is like a spreadsheet. It's as much possible information as I can put on the screen at one time. I love a list view. We've got a board view. So the board is for those teams. Agile teams are great working in Kanban. So we can group the board. Right now I have mine grouped by status, but we can group by all these different data points that we have in ClickUp. So assignees, certain group, a team, a custom field, any of those different versions. We've got a timeline. The timeline is kind of like a baby, I say, between the calendar and the Gantt chart. And the timeline is great for roadmaps and to really just give a high level overview for leadership or for even external clients. And so let's pop open. My screen is too small, so I'll make it a little bit bigger. Got a calendar. So the calendar is super wonderful for my marketing teams who are managing social media posts and they have, make sure day and time something needs to go out as scheduled. So calendars are really great. And most of these views that we've looked at so far, we can actually share them to individuals that are outside of ClickUp. So if I come in and I generate this public URL and I add that, anywhere that we have internet access, a browser, email, I can share this however, then we can share real-time updates and information with people outside of ClickUp, no login needed. So that's great. Well, maybe we don't want leadership in the details, the in and outs of all of our projects. We just want to give them a quick snapshot that we've developed. So we've got that. Lots of different views, workload views. If we're putting in the magic ingredients of assignees, start date, due date, and time estimates, then we can do projections and capacity planning and resourcing in ClickUp. So super helpful. A lot of details there. This can be as complicated or as simple as you want to build it. So there's a lot of flexibility there in ClickUp. Let's take a dive into one of the actual tasks. Let's find one that I'm not overdue on. So go into one that makes me feel good today. So it's not overdue yet. Lots of different things to keep us on track. We've got start dates, due dates, time estimates, assignees, priorities, all of these different data fields that we need to report on really helps give us rich data for those projections, those dashboards and reports that we all need to do as project managers. We also have the ability to talk to the team, to ask a question right here where the work is. I don't want to jump over into Teams and ask a question about a project to do. I don't want to open my email to ask a question. So I just keep myself focused. I'm in the task, I'm in the moment. I'm not being distracted by some other email that I might find over in my email messaging then. Speaking of email, I can actually link my email. So if I do need to collaborate with somebody outside of ClickUp, I could send them an email right here from ClickUp. So I don't need to toggle over and to open up anything else. Everything is right here in one place. I don't need to jump around between the different apps. There are other ways that I can collaborate and work with my collaborators here. We have whiteboards in ClickUp. So perhaps I have a kickoff for a project, and I really want to make sure that I am helping the team visualize the requirements and what our stakeholders are looking for. So I can use a ClickUp template, or I can make a template myself. Maybe I really rocked it on a previous project. I have a whiteboard. I can save all these different items, project plans. I can save whiteboards, docs, all the different items as templates, so I don't need to create those items over and over again. Also love ClickUp Docs for project managers. We've got, a page for the project charter, the brief, maybe a RAID log. I can also link other external views and items that I want to here in my docs. Absolutely love ClickUp Docs for meeting minutes. So we've got a page for each meeting. We can just highlight an item on the page if I want to do this manually, and I can turn it into a task. Just create items then and there. If I've really, really taken a deep dive into ClickUp AI, I can have note taker, put the notes into the meeting. I can ask AI to just summarize it. I can ask AI to create some follow-ups, and I can really automate this, or I can keep this as manual as needed, depending on my budget for sure. So definitely between tasks, keeping the conversation in the tool where the work is being done through chat, through comments, whiteboards to be able to visualize projects, and docs just to keep all that notes. It's just a fantastic way to bring everything in one place. And just how home is my personal command center, a dashboard is the project command center. ClickUp can just be your overall team's command center, as much information and tracking as you're putting in there. Let me know if you have any questions or, need any more detail about ClickUp.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Kim. Now, when you and I have spoken about ClickUp, you've mentioned how ClickUp is sort of I guess, central or an aggregator or kind of a central location for consolidating and integrating different teams and apps. Can you talk just a little bit more about that?
Definitely. It feels as if most clients come to us and need help because we've got one team in spreadsheets, one team in, another tool. They're just trying to sunset multiple tools and bring everyone together. So ClickUp has some great out of the box importers. We can also just import spreadsheets. Just it feels so comfortable if you've worked in any other project management tool that it's really easy to import all of those teams' different, situations and bring everybody together and get them on board.
All right. So it seems like a great tool if you've got too many tools in your org and you need to simplify and consolidate. All
Definitely.
right. Well, thank you so much. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to introduce our next speaker, and our next speaker is Logan Miller. Logan is a project management technical consultant here at Kolme Group and is also a learning and development specialist. So she spends a lot of time coaching and training different organizations and their team members on how to use the different tools that we have. Logan is Monday certified, among her other talents, and has been implementing project management tools in training teams for over 3 years. And Logan is going to share a little bit about Monday with us today. Hey, Logan.
Thank you, Kim. All right. So Monday is a platform that's designed to bring clarity, structure, and some really incredibly helpful tools to your team's workflows. And today I want to talk about a few things that I think helps Monday to really stand out. So you're probably going to hear me say a few words over the next 10 minutes a lot, and those are going to be easy, simple, and seamless. And that's because that is exactly what Monday brings to the table. So first, and I think probably one of the most important um, aspects of Monday is that it is so easy to use. And it's like that on purpose. So it's very clean, it's very visual, it's very intuitive, and it's all done in a very deliberate way. So there's not a lot of bloat. You're not going to find a lot of hidden menus or features that no one's ever going to use. Everything is up front and center, and everything is designed to be used and used easily. So this clarity and ease of use makes it easier for teams to adopt Monday and actually want to use it because it doesn't feel like there's a lot of extra work. So when I first log into Monday, I am at my home screen and we have anything that I have recently accessed, all of the workspaces that I belong to, and I have anything that's been updated in my inbox. So any new messages or anything like that, I have all of that right here. But where I really want to go when I first start to work in the morning is to my work. And this is going to show me anything that it looks like I've got a lot of past due items. So I have anything that's past due here. And if I scroll down, I have today and this week and later. So this is really going to give me kind of a good direction to go in as I'm continuing on to my workday. What I want to talk about now, though, is the workspaces. So workspaces are one of the main areas in Monday. And what that does is it gives you the ability to have different departments and clients and even product lines, and they each have their own space. So you have these silos where all of these departments need to create their own work. It's very easy to create them, so you're not spending a lot of time doing a lot of onboarding. But it also Monday gives you what's called connected boards. So it allows these different teams and departments to connect with one another and have that seamless collaboration very, very easily. Once we have these workspaces set up, then it's time to start creating boards. And boards is where all of your items, all of your tasks and things like that are going to go. And Monday has an extremely robust template center. And this template center is full of pre-made boards and projects and groups that are going to fit pretty much any need that you have for your workflows. In addition to that, you can actually create your own templates, and that is going to save you a lot of time in the future and streamline those future projects that you have. All right, so the next thing that we're going to look at, sorry, I have to get that little window out of the way. The next thing that we're going to look at is probably my favorite thing about Monday, and that is that it is very, very visual. I'm a very visual person. I want to see things up front and center and in color and all of those different things, and Monday gives us that ability in spades. So when I open up my reading log, the first thing that I can see is a lot of pink, right? So this is my genre column, and we can see that I am definitely a thriller book fan. That's pretty much all I read. And I can see that without having to dig very deeply into any of these items. I don't have to click on anything. I don't have to expand anything. It is all right here. But if I do need to collapse my groups, maybe I'm trying to access more real estate on my screen, I can still see these visual indicators as a summary, and I still have that point of reference that I need. In addition to this, I also have the ability to view my information in different ways. So it's like restating a sentence with different words for better clarity. So I can open up my charts, any charts that I have created. I've got two charts here that say the same thing in different ways, and this is my books by rating. And then I have what started out as a genre chart, and then I have added a format and a status and an author chart. So I have this ability to look at all of those boards and all of those groups in many different ways that make sense to me. I have Kanban, I have Gantt if I have dependencies and I want to look at the timeline like that. So you really have a lot of different ways that you can look at your data for more clarity or anything that makes sense to you. So in addition to what I think are pretty impressive visuals, Monday gives us a lot of different ways to make working easier. Um, in our different boards, one of the first things that I can do here is I can drag and drop. So if I want to move any of these groups anywhere in here that makes logical sense, or if they need to go in a certain order, I can drag them and I can drop them and I can put them back without losing any of the data integrity. The same thing I can do with columns themselves. So all I'm going to do, I can look for that little hand icon and it shows me exactly what I'm about to do. I can drag it and drop it wherever I need it to be. So in addition to that, the ease of dragging and dropping, I can also create any kind of custom field that I need. So let's say that I want to create a purchase date column. I want to know exactly when I have purchased these books. So I'm just going to click on date. I'm going to name it whatever makes sense. And that's it. I have now created a column that I can use as another point of reference or another point of data in my different boards and groups. And it was extremely simple. I think probably my favorite thing that Monday has given us for this ease of use is the ability to change a column type. So this author column right here is a text column. And anytime I enter a new book into any of these groups, I have to hand jam that information in there. And I mean, that takes a little bit of time. So I also don't have those colors that I like so much. So all I'm going to do is change this column type to a status column. And Monday is going to completely change that entire column for me. I don't have to do anything. I'm not losing any of my data. And I now have a status column that makes sense to me. And then I can also use in charts and graphs a little bit easier because it has these colors. Now, the ease of use, the visuals, they're all really great. But one of the things that makes Monday so powerful is the ability to use automations. So we have an automation center that has very natural language. It's very easy to come in here and decide of a trigger and an action and whatever it is that we need to do. So for example, I have a my new for 2025 board. Anytime I put a book in here, I have to come over here and I have to manually say what my status is. And it may seem like a very insignificant action, but if you add all of these insignificant actions up at the end of the day, you've probably wasted a little bit of time. So Monday gives us this automation builder to cut out that time that we're wasting. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to create one from scratch and I'm going to read it like a sentence almost. So when an item is created, we're going to add one more trigger. And if the item is in the group of new for 2025, then what are we going to do? We are going to change our status to waiting. So all I'm going to do is create automation. Monday is going to do all of that backend work for me. And from now on, anytime I create a new book, in my new for 2025 group, the status is automatically going to be set to waiting. So I didn't have to do anything extra. It's already done for me. And I can do that for any of the columns that I want. If I need to send an automatic notification, I can do that. If I need to move an item from one group to the next or from one board to the next, I can do that too. So that automation builder is really going to take your workflows to the next level. Now that we've seen how it kind of works and how you do your day-to-day work, I want to show you how you can extend this even further with the Monday Marketplace. So this is where you can take Monday is a great platform that makes my life easier to Monday is a phenomenal platform that is personalized to make my life easier. It's full of apps that are built by power users and partners who really understand how Monday works and they know how to make it even better. So if you need time tracking or better reporting or something a little bit more specialized, there's probably already an app for that. And one of the best things is that most of them are free or very affordable and they fit very naturally into Monday's design. So I am looking for my workspace, I'm looking for time tracking. So I'm going to come over here to a category and I'm going to choose one that I think fits. I'm going to find an app that I think looks good. I can see the rating here and how many times it's been downloaded. And when I open this, I can see a lot more information like who created it, when it was launched, all of the additional information here. But one of the best things is that down at the bottom, I can see if there are any automation templates that come with this app. That is going to save me from having to create them. When I click install app, Monday is going to do all of that for me. It's going to install it, it's going to optimize it. And I didn't have to build it and I didn't have to take the time to do it. All I have to do is use it. The last thing that we want to look at is if you have any kind of clients or deals or any kind of sales pipeline that you're managing, Monday actually has something for that too, and that's its CRM tool. So you can build a completely customized CRM that fits your sales process. You don't have to do it the other way around and build the process to fit the platform. If you need to track leads or deals or clients or however your pipeline flows, Monday's going to be able to match that. And of course, the automations and the visuals and the templates all come into play here too. So if you need auto reminders for follow-ups, or if you need to change the status of a deal or send a kickoff notification, or if you don't really know where to start in your CRM and you need that base to start with, you can use those templates. And it's not just another add-on. So it is a fully baked in aspect of this platform, and it works the way your team already does. So there's no real knowledge gap here because they already have the visuals and the process of Monday, and they can use that in the CRM as well. So this is just giving a glimpse of how much Monday can do, from simple task tracking to full-on pipeline management. It's very clean, it's very visual, it is ridiculously easy to use, but it's powerful enough to run your projects, automate your tasks, and manage your entire sales pipeline. If you're curious about how Monday can possibly work for your team, we would absolutely love to help you explore that.
Outstanding. Well, thank you. Thank you, Logan.
Mhm.
Some words I heard you say repeatedly were easy, ridiculously easy, and simple when you talk about Monday, which is great. So if you were to say who is the perfect customer or perfect user for Monday, how would you describe them?
I would say anybody that's a startup. If you're small and you're just getting ready to go, Monday is going to be the perfect product for you. There's not a huge learning curve. You can do everything that you need to do, and it can grow with you as well.
So when you're looking for that maybe first ever real project management, task management tool, this might be a good way
Hmm.
to go.
Absolutely.
All right. And I also really like the idea of the integrated CRM too. That seems pretty useful.
Hmm.
Well, super. Thank you so much, Logan. For everybody watching, we'll give you an opportunity to connect with Logan afterwards if you'd like a little deeper dive. But right now, we're going to dive into the world of Smartsheet. And helping us do that is Grant McAllister. Grant McAllister is also one of our project management technical consultants. Grant is a PMP certified project manager. He's Smartsheet certified. He's been implementing project management tools for over 3 years. And even before that, he's had experience with Smartsheet because he has over 7 years of Smartsheet expertise. And I'll hand it over to Grant. Welcome, Grant.
Thanks, Kim. All right, so let's look at Smartsheet. Okay, this is Smartsheet. And if you're looking at it and you think it looks like a spreadsheet, that's because Smartsheet is built on a spreadsheet tool. That makes it really awesome for teams who are already used to using spreadsheets to manage their projects, which most of us are. You can get right in and get going with Smartsheet. But the power that comes from Smartsheet is where we want to focus on. There's lots of automations, reports, dashboards, and I'm going to walk you through some of that right now. So right off the bat, you're looking at a project plan, and this is where you're probably going to spend most of your time inside of Smartsheet is in your project plan. I want to just give a quick overview of some of the interfaces inside of Smartsheet. So you can see that you can actually build sheets. That's the primary tool inside of Smartsheet, is building out sheets. You can also build out reports, which is just filtering down your sheets into different ways. You add those into a dashboard. You can put them in a folder. So there's many ways to kind of get all your data together, and that's kind of the organizational structure of Smartsheet are those artifacts. So right now we're inside of a project folder and we're looking at a project plan. Now there's several ways to look at your project plan. You can do a traditional Gantt view. You can do a grid view. I like to also show people that you can do a board view if you're more agile and you want to have a Kanban board to move things around. I'm going to go back to our traditional grid view where we can build out our plan. Now, Smartsheet, where it really has power is in the formulas. And so you can, just like in Excel, you can write formulas, but the power here is that we can actually have AI help us build out our formulas. So I'm going to click on a row that I know is overdue, and I want to see if Smartsheet can help me automate this flag that I've created. I've created a flag for at risk, and I want to automatically flag this if my tasks are overdue. So on the right side of the screen, you're going to see there's a Generate with AI Tools menu. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to say I want to generate a formula. And I could just now put in a prompt, and it's going to give me a formula that I can use. So here's my prompt I want to put in. I want to flag that cell if the row is overdue and it's not 100% complete. Let's go ahead and click Generate that formula. So you just type in whatever prompt you want to do. It will then take a minute to spit out a formula for you. And then you can go ahead and click on your cell that you want to apply it to and just apply it to that cell. And you can see if it's working. And you can see that it flagged it right away for me. So now I can test it. I'm just going to say 100% and the flag goes away. So now I know that that formula looks like it's actually working great. I'm going to go ahead and apply it to the whole column. And now I can see that I have about a half a dozen tasks that are overdue and need attention. Now, something else that you can do is with our Gantt view, we can actually look at the critical path. So let's go ahead and flip back to the Gantt view. And let's go into, if I have a filter set up that if it's at risk and it's on the critical path, I want to see those tasks. I have one task that I need to address. So at this point, as a project manager, I want to notify this person that there's a critical path task that's overdue. There's two ways I would solve for this as a project manager. First one I'd probably do is a workflow rule. So you can see on the top of the screen, there's an automation menu, and you can create a workflow rule. So I'm going to say create from template. And there's a whole bunch of templates here. The very first one's the most popular. Alert someone when a specified criteria are met. So in this example, I would have already pre-set up a workflow rule to notify my manufacturing director that a task is overdue. Since I haven't done that yet, the second way I handle these types of things is through a direct update request. So you can see there's a menu option here on my rows. I can send an update request, and this is pretty awesome too. I'm going to go ahead and send it to the manufacturing director. The cool thing about this is that I can specify the exact cell that I need him to help me fill out. So I'm going to go ahead and write him up a little message and say, hey, I need your help. Please update your % complete. That's overdue here. I'm going to click on my, right here, I can select the cell that I want him to update. So in this example, I want him to only update the % complete. And it really targets that message to our resources. I'm going to go ahead and click send on that, and then I'm going to hop over to his environment. So now I'm logged in as Steve, as our director over here, and you'll see that he has a notification that popped up. Hi, Steve, can you please update your % complete? He can click on it. Right away, he just sees that one cell that he needs to update. He can say, actually, this is done, 100% complete. Leave me a message. Sorry, I'm late, and submit that update. So he doesn't have to go into the sheet. He can just update it right from there. And he actually gets that as an email, and he can actually action on it right from the email. He doesn't actually have to go into to Smartsheet to complete that request. Let's go back into the system and refresh this, and you'll see that that actually goes away as a filter because he's now updated that task, so it's now been met. Back in my view as a project manager, I can see there's a button right here. I can click to highlight changes, and I can see changes that were made in the last hour or since I last logged in. And I can see right there's a yellow right there for that 100% complete. So I can now see that actually I have a comment here from Steve that he was late. I can reply back, no problem. So it really has that row level communication you can have with your team as well. And that's that. So let's now look at our risks that are at, that we want to create a RAID log now. So let's look at our RAID log options we have inside of Smartsheet. So inside of Smartsheet, everything is a sheet. So I've created a RAID log sheet, but I want to create an easy way for intake for this. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my forms and click Manage Forms. And every cell in your sheet can be added to a form, and you can kind of customize that as you need it with different formatting. The most powerful thing about your forms is the ability to do conditional logic. So in this example for my RAID log, I want certain things to appear under certain conditions. I'm going to open this form up to show you what that looks like. Okay, so when I'm entering a risk, I want to see the probability and I want to see my mitigation plan. And so I'm going to go ahead and fill this in right now. I know that for my project, that project plan takes place over the 4th of July. So I'm going to have some resources that are probably going to be out of the office for the 4th of July. So I just want to make sure I have a plan for that risk. I'm going to type in my risk. I'm going to type in my mitigation plan. Put in a due date. I'll say that I need to get this solved by the end of the month. And I can even assign it to somebody. I can submit that RAID log item. Now, if I come back into my RAID log again, and I'm going to open that one more time, if I were to click on the issue, you can see that the different fields are required under different circumstances. So it really gives you that dynamic ability to customize your forms based on your inputs, which is really awesome. All right, let's go back to my RAID log, and you can see that risk has now come in. But now my next step in my process is I want to make sure I can create a dashboard and a report to surface my risks. So I'm going to hop over to my dashboard tool right now, and I've already started the project dashboard. And now what I want to do is add some additional widgets. So I want to go over here and I'm going to click the widget module here, and I want to create I have already created the report that has my high priority RAID items. I want to bring that into my dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and click add report. I'm going to find my dashboard, my report that I've created. So high priority RAID items, there it is. And you can see that drops it right into my report, my dashboard. And then I want to do one more widget. I want to do a widget for, well, I want to show you one cool thing here. If I click on my report, I can actually change the way that the widget behaves. if somebody clicks on this, I can decide what I want them to do. In this example, I'm going to say I want to open the data source. So if they click on the widget, it'll take them right into the report. All right, let's go ahead and save that and go to the next widget. Let's say I'm doing like a project retrospective and I want to have a lessons learned. So let me go ahead and grab a widget that I've made for that, another intake form. I'm going to paste in the URL for that and click apply. I'm going to go ahead and add a title, enter a lesson learned. And there's a simple little widget that I've added to my report, my dash here. So I'm gonna do some resizing here, make this a little bit easier to see. Let's actually make this a little bit smaller. Basically, you can see this is completely WYSIWYG. You can move things around as you need it to happen here. Let's make this a little smaller. All right, let's go ahead and publish this report. Save that dashboard. There we go. You can see I have my little module here. So let's say I'm in my retrospective with my project team. We're going through some of the items that we're able to succeed on this project. And then right here, I can enter my lessons learned. Let's say I want to start daily stand-ups. And so you have a really easy way to do intake right inside of your reports. All right, so that's a simple project report. Let's hop over now and look at a portfolio report. So if you've structured your projects with the same artifacts, with rate items and with your project plans, you can then filter all that up into a portfolio dashboard and see all of your projects in one single place. So really, this is Smartsheet, and it's really great for that smaller PMO. They're already comfortable with spreadsheets, but they want to have ways to create these dynamic forms, these reports, and these dashboards to really help, and the project manager can drive all that themselves. And there you go.
That's great. Thank you so much, Grant. And when we think of who's Smartsheet right for, the keywords I heard you say is spreadsheets, is that right? So if organization is you feel like you're power users of spreadsheets, or you maybe are experienced spreadsheet overwhelm, maybe this is the right tool for you, would you say?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really that learning curve is much quicker with this tool because of that. Yeah.
So power users of spreadsheets find Smartsheet pretty easy to adopt.
Exactly. You got it. Yep.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much, Grant. And to wrap up, our last speaker today is going to be Bradley Rigney. Bradley is a project management technical consultant as well. He's a PMP certified project manager. He's a Planview AdaptiveWork certified consultant. He's been working with AdaptiveWork for 4 years now. And with that, I'll hand it over to Bradley, who's going to show us some of the cool things going on with AdaptiveWork.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. So as Kim mentioned, next we're going to be looking at is Planview's AdaptiveWork. AdaptiveWork is a highly configurable, highly customized tool that may be the right tool for your organization if you have more mature business processes or perhaps strict governance that may not fit into the box of a standard PPM tool. And it also features additional capabilities such as advanced resource and financial management that you can incorporate into your project planning. So starting off with this demo, we're going to look at what we call a portal page. And I really just like to showcase this just to show the capability to customize the landing page that users have when they first sign in. So this would be an example of a project manager sign-in page to be able to access their portfolios and their projects, requests, reports, and even their timesheet. You can see we've customized our background to match our organization. We've matched the colors here to kind of color code everything. And we can even change where these tiles go, the shape, the animations, everything here. And AdaptiveWork also allows you to create multiple profiles. So this, as I mentioned, would be a project manager landing page, but perhaps a team member or resource manager or even executives, they would all have their own unique landing pages. They have their own unique tiles and functions to really streamline the user process. In addition to portal pages, profiles can also be used to customize the modules they have access to, the views inside those modules, permission structures, and even the exact field sets. So highly customizable with the user experience. In addition to all that, we also feature automated workflows, scheduled workflow rules, and even custom actions and validation rules. So all those can be highly configured to match an individual organization's needs or a specific use case. But to keep today's demo a little bit more broad and applicable to more industries and organizations, we're going to focus primarily on advanced resource and financial management in the tool. So kind of switching gears over into this specific project here, we have our demo day project. This top level information here is going to be our property card with all the essential information. Again, this can be tailored per profile. So this is the project manager's essential information. We can expand that if we need to, collapse it if we need to. And then scrolling down, we have a work breakdown structure that you would expect to see in a standard PPM tool. So we have our top level project with some milestones. Our milestones have some tasks. We can even incorporate subtasks within there, as well as some standalone milestones or standalone tasks. We can track our statuses, forecast our work and our duration, set our start dates and due dates. And then we also have a Gantt chart that we can feature beside that work breakdown structure to give us a little bit more visibility. And this is actually dynamic, so as I collapse and expand some of my items, we'll see that Gantt chart start to collapse as well. So it is reactive to how you're currently viewing that work breakdown structure. Now, going down into resourcing, we can do resourcing either at a task level or a project level. So either a bottom-up or a top-down approach, or sometimes even a combination of both. So we can see I have 6 resources currently assigned to this project, and I can see their allocation week by week here. I can change that to be daily or monthly if I need to, or change the overall time frame that I'm viewing. And I'm currently tracking it in hours, but AdaptiveWork does support units, FTE, and person days as well, if that's how your organization chooses to measure your capacity and demand. Now, if I need to add a resource, I can do that by clicking this button here, and it's going to give me a pop-up on the screen with everything to the right being my currently assigned resources, and the left side here is going to be resources I can assign. So here we have people, so named user records in our system. So if I know an individual's name and I want to assign them to the project, I can simply scroll through and find them. Alternatively, if I need a specific skill, for instance, if I need my project manager to have a PMP, I can search for people with a certain set of skills, and it's going to filter that list down and find the individual or individuals that match that skill. Now, there's often scenarios where a project manager needs a resource, but they may not know the capacity of individual users or maybe the specific users that hold a certain job title. So we do feature the ability to assign job titles. So if I need something like a business analyst, I can double click on that and it's going to drag over to my right side of the screen. You can see I already have developers there, so I've already requested a developer resource. And once I save this, it's going to essentially let my resource managers know that I need somebody from these groups or with these job titles to perform the work. So a resource manager would see something like this. This is going to be our capacity planning module. And here we can see a heat map of all the demand versus capacity that I'm a resource manager of for these groups. And I can see my legend very quickly. Just to give you some context here, I can see that blue is going to be underallocated. I'm shooting for the greens here, and then our amber and our reds are going to be that over allocation. Of course, we have FTE hours and person days here as well, and we can also change the timeline and the time frame that we're viewing these things. Drilling down into a specific user group and viewing the capacity of individual resources, I can see my developer group, as an example, has 2 named resources, Danny and Mary. And then I also have this developer resource that was requested for our demo day project. So looking at my 2 resources, I know I need 5 hours for the next few weeks for this demo day project. And I can see Danny is in the blue for the foreseeable future, so she definitely has the capacity to take on more work. Whereas Mary, for most of these weeks, she's in the red or the amber colored. So this is a pretty clear scenario in this example that I would assign this developer work directly to Danny, and then I would let my project manager know and they would be notified of that allocation. But this really helps in more complex scenarios or nuanced scenarios where perhaps all of your resources in a given group are already allocated or perhaps over allocated to projects. And maybe you need to start looking at the priority of projects. Does the new project in the pipeline take priority over existing work? And does that cause a current project to be put on hold? Or maybe it's a sign that you may need additional resources for a particular group. So all these kinds of insights and conversations can be facilitated just by looking at the heat map and the different resource allocation that your resources have within the system. One final note that I'll make here on the screen is if we look at Mary for this first week here, she has 0 over 0. The second 0 here is a key indicator as a resource manager, because typically that number would be 40, which is the working hours for Mary in a given week. So since it says 0 here, that tells me that Mary has no capacity for this week. So she's either on PTO or she has sick time. Something's preventing her from having full capacity. So we are able to put those non-working exceptions in calendars, and those calendars can be at an individual user level, a user group level, or even the organizational level. So as a resource manager, you get true insight into how much a particular resource actually has available in a given week or month, depending on what kind of granularity you're viewing. And all of those resourcing components are going to eventually tie into the financials of a project. In this view here, we're looking at our financial planning module, and we can see the cost of those resources reflected here. Our budgeted cost is going to be based on the forecasted work for all of these resources, and the actual cost is going to come from the timesheets that our resources submit either to the project or the individual tasks within the project. Now, if you have customer-facing projects that generate revenue, perhaps like a time and material contract, you can also track revenue here as well. So for time and material, those revenue calculations are going to be very similar to where we get our budget and actual cost from. So forecasted work would be your forecasted revenue, and then the timesheets would be the actual revenue you generate. And Adaptive Work also features capabilities for fixed fee and fixed fee milestone projects as well. In this example, we're just going to be looking at cost. So we can see in April, because this is a time-phased financial report, we can see April, what our budgeted cost was, the total actual cost, and see that we actually have a positive variance. So we actually came in under the cost that we were expecting. And we can see those granular breakdowns by resource and even by work item for the individual resource as well. And then if we go into our current month of May, we can see our budgeted cost increase substantially. We're going to have more resources working. And as resources start to do the work and submit their time, those costs would be updated. And we can even see our forecast out into June as well, because that's when this project ends. So we don't get any further insight than the due date of this project here, but we can see June as well. And at the very end, we're going to see the total cost of all of the duration of our project, the actual cost so far, and of course the cost variance as well. Now, if you have a circumstance where you need to track something other than a labor resource, we also feature the capability to track non-labor resources. So whether it's equipment or software or travel or really anything that's not a labor resource, you can add that into your financial planning module and track its cost by month as well in a time-phased manner. Now, one last thing that I'll briefly touch on inside of Adaptive Work is custom objects. So Adaptive Work at its core is an object-oriented database. So objects really are the powerhouse behind the tool. So Adaptive Work gives you the ability to create your own objects, and that comes with a lot of potential and a lot of capabilities to either enhance things in the system or create entirely new functionalities and add your own workflow rules and fields and all of those other things I briefly touched on at the beginning of this demo, specifically in those new custom objects. So this can be really tailored to more specific functions that may not be covered out the box by most PPM tools, or it can be something a little bit more simple like a lessons learned module. These can be as complex or as simple as you need. For this example, lessons learned, we're going to keep super simple, and we'll just have a name field as well as a category so we can categorize what kind of lesson this falls into, maybe change management, and then we can provide a description of this lesson as well. So that's going to be added into my current project as a related object. So I'd be able to see my lessons learned logged on my individual project, but I can also see a lessons learned repository in the object module itself of all the various lessons that I've accumulated so far. And I can actually filter this down in this view using that category that we just set for change management. I can say, show me all of my change management lessons, and I can see those reflected here as well. And these things like filters on specific columns and different views and different columns we can add. This is something that's going to be present on all of our other modules as well. So you have a very easy way to navigate. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg of Adaptive Work. I could talk about this tool literally all day long. So if you have any further questions, feel free to add them in the chat or schedule a follow-up call, and I would love to speak more about this with you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Bradley. So a couple key phrases I want to pull from what you mentioned there about Adaptive Work, as you said, more mature and governance. And boy, some of these modules seem really, really powerful.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You can set an absurd amount of governance if you need to. Some organizations I've worked with definitely require a lot of governance, and Adaptive Work is certainly capable of meeting that more granular level of governance.
And so the ideal organization for Adaptive Work is certainly one that sounds like that needs governance and has some level of maturity.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bradley. And as we wrap up, I want to touch a little bit on integrations, because your delivery of a project is not done in isolation. You need other team members, other departments, maybe even other organizations. And your project management tool is the same. And so you may find that your tooling, whichever you select, may be more useful for you and your organization if you decide to integrate it with outside tools. So something also to think about. This can be integrating with your ERP system for financials, your CRM for sales or for contact information, HR systems for resourcing information or time off, or even other planning tools. And if you have an interest in integrations, well, we actually have an integration practice and we can help you out with that as well. One final thing that we'd like to do, and we based on some feedback we've had in delivering this kind of webinar, was really how do we compare these tools a little more directly? And it's really challenging because there's a lot of overlap. So these tools, if you configure them correctly, can work for less mature organizations or more mature organizations, or they can support maybe some low complexity solutions or even high complexity solutions. But we wanted to try to do a little comparison to give you a feel for where these tools feel like they natively fit based on our experience. And so that's what we want to try to do here, just to give you a little flavor of that. Now, as we wrap up, I did promise that if you have more questions or if you'd like to have a deeper dive into any one or more of these tools, we will give you an opportunity to do so. And here you go. So please feel free to grab a screenshot of this, or maybe we can find a way to get you these links directly. But you can book appointments with any of our consultants that you heard from today. And we'll be happy to carry on the conversation, do more deep dives, or answer more questions.